Okay, good morning. It's April 15th, 2025, and this is the regular council meeting for the town of Rocky Mountain House. I will call the meeting to order at 9 a.m. And we're moving on to adoption of the agenda. Everyone has the agenda in front of them. Is there anything we need to add or change to the agenda? If not, just looking for a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Councillor Shippold.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I also move the agenda as presented.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. We have no delegations, so we're going to move on to adoption of the previous minutes. Everyone's had a chance to read those minutes. Is there any errors or omissions? Councillor Shippold.
Just one error in number 14. Calls me deputy mayor, and I'm not, or sorry, acting mayor, and that should be Councillor Hutchinson should be the acting mayor, number 14.
Deputy mayor. Deputy.
Or deputy, is that what it is? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for finding that. Any other corrections or changes that need to be made? If not, just looking for a motion to accept the minutes as amended. Councillor Auld.
I'll make that motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Thank you for that motion. Any discussion on that motion? Call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. There's nothing for delegations or old business, so we'll move on to new business, the amended traffic bylaw. Mr. Kraus.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. So during council service level retreat, it was a discussion and initiative to change residential streets to 40 kilometers per hour. So the first step in that initiative is to amend the traffic bylaw to establish those speed limits. So basically, there's some typos as council has pointed out, but basically what the bylaw says, anything east of Highway 11 remains 50 kilometers with the exception of the McNutt subdivision, which would be 40. Then everything west of Highway 11 would be 40 kilometers with the exception of 60th Street remaining 50 kilometers per hour, and certain streets that actually already are 30 kilometers, and that's just established in the bylaws. So that's basically Main Street, and as shown in the map, the yellow areas are the 30. So we're presenting it to council for council's formal initiative of this project. We are requesting just first reading from council today to allow the opportunity for the public to provide any feedback if they so desire.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kraus. Councillor Shippold has a question.
So my question is about the 30-kilometer speed zones that are listed on here. So I'll start at the bottom one first. That's the street in front of Park Place Apartment, and that'd be where the Van Hollen's house is and all that in there. 57th Avenue from 56th Street. So there's a playground zone in there already. And this is just an extension of that playground zone. And I guess where I'm at is playground zones make sense for 30 kilometers an hour, but we're starting to migrate outside of that. And from a driver's perspective, you're up and down, up and down. So I think I just question if there's playground signs, it makes sense. If there's no playground signs, then adding a speed sign in there, I think is a waste. And there's a couple of them like that where there's a playground which will slow you down, but then we went on and beyond that. So I just question the purpose of that.
Those basically have been the requests from residents historically, requesting it to be reduced because of different situations or approved by council. I think we have 2 resolutions on the books from previous councils establishing those areas as 30 kilometers. So we didn't change it. We're just formalizing it in this bylaw. I know a couple of them were just concerns of railway crossing, like the south end there. You'll see by where the bottle depot is. Council wanted that reduced to 30 kilometer hours for safety around the railway crossing. So those are past resolutions of council that we're just formalizing in this bylaw.
Okay, do we have any other questions, concerns? Councillor Auld.
I think when we had this discussion, I think brought up a lot of good points, and I think I think it's an important initiative to move forward with. The safety factor, it's noted in there, the survival rates if you're a pedestrian and get hit by a vehicle, and there has been lots of close calls for sure in town. The biggest thing is, for me, is that if you have a speed limit of 50, it's not enforceable until it gets to that 10 over. So the peace officers or RCMPs aren't even stopping people that are doing 60. Once they get over that, then they have the ability to write them a ticket. So putting it down to 40, if they're doing 50, now they can get a ticket for going over that. So I think it's a public safety. Everybody complains that everybody's speeding in town. Hopefully this gives a little bit of teeth for the RCMP bylaw officers, peace officers that can enforce this a little better.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Shippold.
I agree with everything Councillor Aldous said. Here again, I'm looking at like some places where we got these speed reduction signs, so it could be a typo on number 4, 57th Street from 57th Avenue to 57B Avenue. 57B Avenue is a close on the middle of a street. So I'm assuming here again what it is. It's been a complaint by a citizen, and so the traffic, their speed reduction is in the middle of a street going up a hill. So when I drove by there, I don't know, it just seems like a strange place to start a speed reduction. Yeah. But if that was, as you said, bylaws were made back in the day and that's what they decided, I guess.
I mean, it can be, we can review it if council wishes and bring back, when we come back for second reading.
And I don't know, some of these just seem so strange. But anyway, if that's what they were and the council's previous thoughts have agreed to these, then I guess we just move forward and make the assumption that they knew what they were talking about back then.
Okay, thank you for those comments. I mean, obviously, this is a topic that we've heard a lot of from a council point of view. Speeding is something that we've heard from many residents. And all you have to do is go to other communities around us in central Alberta, and it's not very uncommon to see the speed limits being reduced. So do we have any other comments, any other questions on this? Councillor Capraro.
Thank you. I don't have any further comments, but I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay.
My motion is, be it resolved that council give first reading to bylaw 2025/08 to amend bylaw 2023/07.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Do we have any
Mayor,
discussion?
Just if I could ask for you to expand on your motion, Councillor, that with the amendment of 2B2 state from 50th Street from Highway 11A to 48th Avenue shall be 30.
I'm happy to add that amendment to my motion.
So that is a typo we had noticed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so is everyone clear with that addition to the motion? Okay, no more discussion, and I'll call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to item 7.2, the business walk. I see Mr. Hartling coming up.
Good morning, Dr. Mayor, Council. Happy to be in front of you with this request for decision, Rocky Mountain Hills Business Walk, in line with in the name of, of business retention expansion. We're looking to get out into the community and just, get out into the community and just get a pulse on businesses out there. We're looking to do a business walk with Community Futures, as they're looking to engage more with their programs and offerings with their services. And great time to just get out and get a pulse with where everything is at in the world today with our businesses throughout the community. It's a valuable opportunity to build upon our economic pulse in Rocky Mountain House. The engagement is to learn more about local businesses positioning with their operations. So we're looking to have this kind of informal business walk with a list of 5 questions what we'll draft up, and connecting with all you counselors along with myself and a representative from Community Futures on May 27th, hopefully, from 10:30 till 2:30.
Okay, thank you for that presentation, Mr. Hartling. I have heard of this initiative in other communities, and from what I understand, it goes very, very well, and the business community does enjoy it, and does like to have that participation. I'm just wondering if it's possible to have this on May 26th as opposed to May 27th. On May 27th, I'll be going to Calgary for, traveling to Calgary to fly out for the FCM conference, so I would like to take part of this, and I was just wondering if we could move it to the Monday as opposed to the Tuesday.
We will we'll look at that date, and hopefully it works for everyone else as well.
Anyone else have comments on Deputy Mayor Hutchinson?
Thank you. I'm excited about this. I think it's great to finally have a little more representation from Community Futures in the community. They do a lot of good work and things I've read in other communities. So to have that connection with them, with our business owners, and just to have them be aware of what Community Futures has to offer, I think is a really good opportunity.
Councillor Shibboldt.
Just a couple questions. Where are you planning on going? That length of time is going to give you a lot of opportunity to talk to a lot of people. So I think the more people you talk to, the better you are. So possibly there's enough counselors. Can you break it into 2 groups of people to hit more of the town, or what do you anticipate there? Like, how many people do you anticipate hitting, and what part of Rocky do you plan on going? Industrial, commercial?
Thank you for the question, Councillor. We are looking at hopefully building 4 teams of 2. It'll be downtown core and highway commercial. And if we can get more into light industrial, that would be awesome. I think we can. But yeah, it'll be no long-winded visits in any one business. It'll just going in to get a pulse. And like I said, it's going to be informal, so there's no set schedules to connect with the business owner or manager or anything. It's kind of a get in there and connect. And Monday mornings, which is the date you proposed, Acting Mayor, is kind of, I think, could be a little bit tricky because there are a number of businesses downtown, for example, that are not open on Mondays.
That's right. Okay, and that's fine. I was just seeing if it was a possibility to change, that's all. Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns? If not, we're looking for a motion. Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. Be it resolved that council participate with the community business walk. Do we want to put the option of the 26th on there just for clarity, or stick with the 27th?
I think if Mr. Hartling's saying that the 27th is a better day was because we're going to hit more businesses, I think then we should just keep it on the 27th.
Okay. So the business walk on May 27th from 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Do we have any discussion on that motion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hartling. Moving on to the council procedural bylaw, and I see Catherine is coming to join us.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. As discussed at the April 8th GPC meeting, administration is bringing forward a new council procedural bylaw for council's approval in response to the Municipal Affairs Statutes Amendment Act 2024, also known as Bill 20, that took effect upon proclamation on October 31st, 2024. The current council procedural bylaw 2023/14 was approved by council on December 5th, 2023. Bill 20 amended the Municipal Government Act that I'll refer to from now as the MGA. There are 2 major amendments that impact the council procedural bylaw. The first requires municipalities to offer digital options for public hearings on planning and development. This may include a telephone or online option. Electronic options for public hearings will ensure more residents are aware and informed of and may participate in local planning and development matters. Municipalities must, by bylaw, provide for electronic means of public hearings to be established within 6 months of the amendments coming into force, the deadline being April 30th, 2025. So as a result of this MGA change, administration is recommending 3 changes to the council procedural bylaw. 1, adding a definition from the MGA for electronic means under section 2 of the bylaw. 2nd, adding language in section 6.1, which is on page 5 of the document with the red line changes, to outline how meetings via electronic means will be managed. And the 3rd, adding language to section 6.4, which is on page 6 of the document with the red line changes, to clarify how members of the public will participate in meetings via electronic means. The recommended changes will satisfy the requirements under the MGA sections 199, 216.1, and 216.4. The second set of changes relates to conflict of interest updates to the MGA. The MGA has been amended to allow elected officials to recuse themselves from discussing and/or voting on matters in front of council due to a conflict of interest that may extend beyond a pecuniary interest. If a councillor knows or should know that they have a real or perceived conflict of interest, they may disclose the interest and follow the process outlined in the MGA as incorporated into the council procedural bylaw. As a result of the MGA change, administration is recommending 2 changes to the council procedural bylaw. The first, adding a definition from the MGA for conflict of interest under section 2, and the second, updating the language in sections 34.2, 34.3, 34.4, and 34.5 on page 19 of the document with the red line changes to incorporate conflict of interest into this section. The recommended changes will satisfy requirements under MGA sections 170, 172.1, 172.2. Administration is further recommending updates to the council procedural bylaw to improve clarity, streamline the bylaw, and better reflect expected meeting practices. The proposed changes incorporate information from Policy 009/2004, Broadcasting and Taping of Council Meetings, which was repealed on March 20th, and information from Policy 001/1995, Public Notice for Meetings, a policy that is being recommended for repeal as part of this change. Administration is recommending changes as outlined in the RFD document and included as track changes in the red line version of the draft bylaw. These changes were outlined in detail in the April 8th GPC meeting, but I'm happy to review these again if council wishes. As a result of changes to the MGA for public hearings and conflict of interest, and to improve clarity, streamline the bylaw, and better reflect expected meeting practices, administration is recommending council pass 3 readings of 2025/07 council procedural bylaw. Administration is further recommending council repeals the following: 2023/14 council procedural bylaw and policy 001/1995 public notice for meetings. I'm happy to answer any questions council may have.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I see Councillor Schippold has a question.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. First, a question on the change number 2. It says in there, all meetings should be accessible online. I question the word all meetings. So would a meeting, like we had a meeting yesterday or a workshop, would that have to be accessible? Or police committee meeting, or it's just council meetings? It doesn't specifically say, it just refers to all meetings where council's present. So I guess the question I have is, that need clarity, or how does that work?
Thank you for the question. Through Acting Mayor to Councillor Schippold, if you refer to Section 4, Application Interpretation, it clarifies that this bylaw should apply to all council meetings, and it may be applicable to council committees unless there is another bylaw that covers those. So this procedural bylaw applies to formal council meetings, governance and priorities meetings, audit committee meetings. The
Or
policing committee meeting that you referred to has its own bylaw.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Do you have more?
Please.
Yes, okay.
Conflict of interest. And I want to make reference to me leaving the last meeting for a perceived conflict of interest. And so when I read through your section on pecuniary interest and conflict of interest, it indicates here that there could be 3 options that I could have taken in that meeting. One of them would, or two, the first 2 are not to leave the room, if I understand this correctly. I could be in the room as long as I don't participate in the vote. Can I participate in the communication?
I'll let you take that.
Yeah, so the MGA, the procedural bylaw just references and reflects the MGA. So, yeah, so under conflict of interest, the way it's written in the MGA, you can declare a conflict of interest, and then you have choices. You can abstain from voting, you can abstain from discussion, or you can leave the room, but you don't have to do any of them. You could actually stay in the room, participate in the discussion, and vote on the matter.
As long as I declare,
If it's a conflict of interest.
it seems hokey. Okay.
Yeah, it's it's the provincial MGA, that's how they did it. So, I mean, so now you have 2, right? You have pecuniary interest, which means that you're gonna actually, you could financially gain or lose from a decision. If it's pecuniary interest, then you have to leave. But if it's just conflict of interest, like you're on a board where you have a special interest in and council's discussion is a grant to that board, where you wouldn't have any pecuniary interest because you don't financially gain, but you may have a perceived conflict of interest because your interest is with that board and seeing that board succeed. But, so under that conflict of interest, you could actually stay in the room and participate all the way through, but you're just declaring that you're having a conflict. I guess the province, figured it'd be more transparent that way.
So let me get to when I left the room last meeting. So it was perceived conflict or perceived pecuniary interest?
That is up to each individual council to determine. Administration cannot advise on if it's pecuniary, so it's a question to yourself. Am I going to potentially gain money or lose money in this matter? If it's yes to that, then you have pecuniary interest, and then you would have to leave.
Councillor Auld.
I would say you made the right decision because you possibly could have gained monetary. It wasn't a conflict, that was pecuniary.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously when the province puts Bill 20 and now they've got Bill 50 going through that could do some more potential changes in the future, we have to update our bylaws to match that. To me, they're making conflicts of interest, they're not painting it all with the same brush. They're allowing it to have some interpretation, which is just different in the past. Do we have any, Councillor Caprero?
If there is no further discussion, I was just going to make the first motion here.
Okay,
So be it resolved that council give first reading to 2025/07 council procedural bylaw.
okay, thank you for that motion. Do we have any discussion on that motion? I'll call that to a vote then. All those in favor? And that is carried. And Councillor Auld.
I'll make the second motion. Be it resolved that council gives second reading to 2025/07 council procedure bylaw.
Thank you for that motion. Discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call out to a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. Yeah, I think as we had a lengthy discussion at the GPC and the changes are, a lot of changes that are out of our control, I would make the motion to give unanimous consent for third reading to 2025/07 council procedural bylaw.
Thank you for that motion. Discussion. All those in favor? And that is unanimously carried. And just looking, Councillor Musker.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I move the council give third reading to 2025/07 council procedural bylaw.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Discussion. Seeing none, call out to a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. And we have one more recommended alternative. Councillor Schipple.
All right, thank you. Let me make the final motion and let it resolve the council repeal 2023/14 council procedural bylaw and policy 001/1995, the public notice for meetings.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Discussion. Call out to a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Catherine. And moving on to item 7.4, the March 2025 financial update and analysis. I see Ms. Quinlan is at the ready to answer our questions.
Good morning, Acting Mayor and Council. So I have the March quarterly statements for your review and approval. I'll just hit some of the highlights. Basically, we provide quarterly reporting to you for operating and capital. And then at year end, when we present the financial statements, we'll be presenting, presenting the year end statements. The March quarterly statements, they're pretty much on track. I mean, we're only 3 months into the year. So we're sitting with a small surplus of $344,000, which is a little higher than 2022. When I reviewed them, there's really nothing unusual going on in the first 3 months. Revenues are coming in at 24%. Probably the biggest thing is I'm seeing that interest revenue is dropping a little bit because we did budget for 5%, and interest rates are declining a little bit, so we're not collecting quite as much. It doesn't have an impact on the operating surplus or deficit because we transfer those funds into reserves. Expenditures are sitting a little lower than sort of a 25%. And again, there's not a whole lot of things that are jumping out as being unusual. We do accrue expenditures and revenues. So, for instance, FCSS, they have allocated quite a bit of their grants, but we back that out and accrue it over the period of the year. The only other thing I've noticed is the Aquatic Center and Arena. Last year, since COVID, their activity has basically, in my mind, skyrocketed. And they're still showing this in that they're coming in at 26% and 25%. So participation, particularly at the pool, the arena, and the fitness center is kind of at a high. So there's a lot of uptake on that. Capital activities are sitting at our total budget for the year. Now, I've been able to calculate what the carry forwards are for 2025, which is 2024 projects that are not complete. So our carry forwards for this year are coming in at 15 million. The bulk of that is the wastewater treatment plant. So it's sitting at 11 million at year end was left to be spent. And then other current capital projects are coming in at 5.8 million. So our total budget for capital this year is 21 million. We spent 3.3 million, so really 16%. The biggest activity is we got our new grader and we've spent 494. So really the bulk of it is 2.6 for the wastewater treatment plant and a new grader, which has been received and paid for. That's really the highlights. I mean, I guess if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. I see Councillor Schipple has a question.
Thanks, Acting Mayor. My question, you referred to it already as the grader. Did we get a steal of a deal on the grader? Because it's 40% of our budgeted amount.
Yeah, we actually did. So prior to budget, we reached out to the suppliers, and they provided us with a budget number of, well, $825. Then we went out to tender, and it came in at close to $500,000. Plus, we received, I think, $150,000 as a trade-in on our existing grader, which exceeded our expectations also.
Special thanks to administration for wheeling and dealing.
It's
Awesome
our
news.
engineering and ops department.
Pass on the thanks
Yeah.
then. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions on the report that was presented? If not, we're just looking for a motion to accept the report as information. Councillor Muska.
Be it resolved, the council accepts the March 31st, 2025 operating, variance, capital, and capital project listing reports for information.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, thank you, Ms. Quinlan. And now we're moving on to the next one, which is the line of credit bylaw for 54th Street, and you're presenting again.
Thank you. So this is a bit of a housekeeping item. I've brought this in previous years. We have a line of credit that we're using to finance the I don't know if it's a loan, but the funds for Laybon for their portion of 54th Street. The line of credit is 2.39 million. They are due to repay it in September of this year, but every year we have to renew the LOC bylaw. It's really a requirement of the ATB Bank. So I've just updated the bylaw and it's attached. The only changes I make are repealing last year's bylaw and reissuing this one.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. Yeah, this is something that has come every year since 54th Street's been constructed, so. Is there any questions of Ms. Quinlan on this one? Oh, your lights. Councillor Holt.
If there's no other questions, I'll make the first motion. Be it resolved that council give first reading to the 54th Street construction project line of credit borrowing bylaw 2025/09.
Thank you for that motion. Discussion. Call that to a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. And Councillor Caparro.
Thank you. I'll make the second motion here. Be it resolved that council gives second reading to the 54th Street construction project line of credit borrowing bylaw 2025/09.
Thank you for that motion. Discussion. All those in favor? And that's carried. And Councillor Shippold.
Thank you. I'll make the next motion. Will it be, that it be resolved, the council give unanimous consent to proceed with third reading.
Okay, thank you. Discussion on that motion. Call it to a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. And we have one more. Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. Be it resolved that council give third and final reading to the 54th Street construction project line of credit borrowing bylaw 2025/09.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Discussion on that motion. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Betty. Moving on our agenda, moving on to item 8.1, correspondence for action, the Central Alberta Excellence Gala invitation. So, Mr. Kraus, is this is something we have attended in the past, or?
Yeah, Acting Mayor, we have. In fact, the town used to actually have membership in Build. It was to create connections with land developers. We haven't been a member for 3 years or so, but it is an opportunity to meet and land developers in the area, housing development and so forth. So.
Okay, thank you. So I am able to attend this if council desires and, network with builders and developers to see what we can make happen in our community. But of course, it's a council decision if we attend this or not. Councillor Ald.
I know with all the work we've been doing, trying to get in front of different developers and local people, I think it's a prime opportunity to get in front of maybe more regional people, so I would be happy to make the motion that Acting Mayor Phillips attend the Central Alberta Awards of Excellence Gala invitation and showcase Rocky for future development.
Thank you for that motion. Do we have any discussion on that motion, Councillor, or Deputy Mayor Hutchinson?
I was just wondering if there was anybody else that was interested. I don't know if it's something that matters to you to go alone, or if make it open to any councillor that would wish it to attend. You measure.
I would think that this is open to all of council. I'm just rereading the,
Yeah, the invite.
yeah, the invite.
It just says you and a guest.
Do we need clarification from Build on if we can open this up to council?
It does say you and a guest,
Yeah.
so I would say that
Yeah, I
Another-
guess the guest can
another
be
member.
council. Yep.
Acting Mayor, it also says this is a personal and non-transferable invitation as well.
Okay. So Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
So I guess that means if you're taking a guest, maybe if a council member wishes to be your guest as opposed to a spouse.
Is,
Would
is,
that,
is there a council member that is interested in attending?
I mean, I could attend, but if one of the others that have been a little more active in conversations, but could we just leave it open? Respond for, or RSVP for,
For two.
for two, and then fill that second position
Yep.
as we go forward with our calendars?
Yep, we can do that. Councillor Ald.
I'll just amend my motion to be acting mayor and guest.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion on that particular motion? None, I'll call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to item 8.2, the Cape Annual AGM, May 15th. That's in Innisfail this year. And I am on the Cape Board, so I definitely will be attending this, but I think this is definitely open to all members of council if they choose to attend. Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
I will make the motion that any council that wishes to attend to let admin know, I guess. I have a second motion, so do that one after.
Okay, so your motion is to attend the Cape AGM? Correct. Okay. Any discussion on that motion? I'll call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. And you had a second motion.
Mhm. We had spoke with Cape when we were at our county meeting last week, and I had mentioned to Tracy that what would be the possibility of the town hosting the fall election meeting for Cape. So my motion would be to direct admin to follow up on the requirements to host the November Cape meeting.
Okay, thank you for that motion. I definitely think that's a very good, very good use of our time to advocate Cape, to have everybody come here. Any more discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to item 8.3, the Blackfall Days Parade invitation, June 14th. I know this is the time of year we start getting all these invitations coming in to go to various parades in different communities. I'm not sure if this is something that we should be attending, to be quite honest. I know we were looking at having an ambassador group put together to do this kind of things, but unfortunately that hasn't come together, and I'm just wondering if this is a good use of our time or not. Counselor Shipple.
I would suggest, and I'd even make the motion that we send them a letter of thanks for the invitation, but unfortunately, we're unable to attend.
Okay. Thank you for that motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call out to a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. And the next one, item 8.4, Alberta Winter Games or Summer Games bid. This one's a little exciting, so we've been asked if we are interested in, as a region, to put in a bid for the 2028 Alberta Winter or Summer Games. Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
You know, I was going to bring this one forward. You know, we did do the bid for the 2024 games and were unsuccessful, but we definitely learn each time we put one of these in. I think it would be a great opportunity for the community, and the sport tourism is gaining a lot of traction. So having said that, I would make the motion to direct admin to follow up on the invitation to host the 2028 Alberta Games and bring back to the May 6th council meeting. And the reason I've put a date specific on there was if it's going to be before county council at their next meeting, so by the time it goes between here and county and back, the bid has to be in, or the letter of support has to be in by June 30th. Completed bids by August 29th. So if we can get both county and town support by June, or earlier than June 30th, so we can be prepared.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Counselor Shipple.
Just a question, is there a cost for us to do that?
In the previous bids, I can't remember what the ask was from town. The operating grant coming from the province is much higher than the last bid we did. I think it was only $275. This one's $525. I did notice that the 2026 games are receiving, it was quite a bit more, $820,000. So that would be, that's coming from the province. The Alberta Masters Games bid was about 1.2 million. I believe our bid for the last one was somewhere around, it was under 2 million. So just depending on how we set it up, typically, like I said, the Alberta Master Games, there was a grant coming from the town and the county of $125 each, I think. Yeah, I'd have to verify that too. And then fundraising is part of it. We did the truck raffle for the Masters Games, which brought in, I think that was about $85,000. We did a casino, which they're not called Alberta Sport, but the sport tourism opportunities typically get the Edmonton or Calgary casinos. So that brought in a lot of revenue as well. So it would just depend on, once we start doing the budget, as to how much would be asked to be contributed from the town and county, provided the county would partner with us, which I'm sure they will.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Hutchinson. Just a quick question. Are we looking for winter or summer, or we're just going to look at both at this point?
My suggestion would be summer, but the bid guidelines are not out yet on the website. So that's where staff would have to call the number, talk to the connection, or the number that's on here, and find out if we can get the bid guidelines. It would make more sense to do summer here. And obviously, the space, wintertime, you're looking at school in service. So the winter games were typically on Family Day weekend. And that's a lot of kids to get in and out in 4 days. So my thoughts would be summer.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Any more discussion on this particular motion? Okay, I know, we were just at the EDA conference last week, and sports tourism is a very big topic and quite a large economic development opportunity for a lot of communities. So this would be no different than other events. I think it's it's something that can put us on the map, and these always create legacy projects after the fact. So I think this is a good opportunity to put us on the map for sports tourism. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, I will call that to a vote then. All those in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to item 9, correspondence for information. We have 5 items in there. Is there anything that anybody needs to discuss on those? If there's nothing to discuss, just looking for a motion to accept them as information. Councillor Schiffeldt. It's
Thank you,
almost a
Acting
tie.
Mayor.
Almost a tie there with you guys.
I'm sorry. I would like to move acceptance of the correspondence for information, items 9.1 to 9.5.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Discussion on that motion. Call that to a vote. All those in favor? That's carried. And moving on to the action list, item 10.1, Mr. Kraus.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. So going through the open items, so the first one is the FCSS agreement. So that's been drafted and the ICC meeting has been established. So that is moving forward. The other one regarding the contracting for the wastewater treatment plant, that agreement is actually going out today for signature. The control burn, we are working with the county on that, and we're just verifying insurance, and we're doing that actually today, so that looks like it'll be proceeding, subject to their weather and all the conditions associated with it. The resolution to Alberta Munis is in progress. We do have a seconder for that, the town of Marathorpe, thank you, Ms. Breeze, has contacted us and they would like to second that. So once we have it drafted, we'll bring it back to council for approval and send it over to their council for ratification on their part. The data center feasibility study is in progress. The quotes have come in. I believe they've awarded it to a consultant. I would have to verify with Mr. Schwader, but they have got the quotes, and I think and they're proceeding on it. Disc golf location, the consultants that we're using have come back out and done a more detailed layout of it. And so we're in discussions with the school board, which look positive for utilizing their land. And plus, we are also sending letters to the adjacent landowners just to verify that notification that it's going in near them. And organics, Ms. Button is working on that, and that's scheduled to come to council for May 6th, or, well, the GPC in May. ATCO franchise agreement, we are waiting to hear back from ATCO and the Alberta Utility Commission on approval of the franchise agreement. And the tax property, that is with legal and progressing slowly again. So.
Thank you for that update. Do we have any questions for Mr. Kraus on the action list? If not, just looking for a motion to accept the action list as presented. Councillor Caprero.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and make that motion to accept the action list as presented.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Any discussion on that motion? Call it to a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Moving on to administrative inquiries.
We are working.
Is there any administrative inquiries? Councillor Muska.
Yes, thank you, Acting Mayor. My inquiry is regarding to our walking path. Excuse me. There's some areas where the tree roots are really taking their toll on the path, and I'm wondering if the town has a mitigation program for that.
I will have to check with engineering operations. I know they do the pass every day for garbage and stuff, but I will inquire with engineering operations to see where they're at with that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other administrative inquiries? Okay, not seeing any. Moving on to notice of motion. Do we have any notices of motion? Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. my notice motion would be to direct admin to look into a regional housing study in partnership with the county.
Okay, thank you
Short
for
and
that.
sweet.
That's very, that is short and sweet. Thank you for that, and that'll be brought to our next regular council meeting. Any other notices of motion? Councillor Schiffel.
If I could, to direct administration to look into alternatives for a study in terms of attracting businesses into our community. And Mr. Kraus, you had a word for that in a discussion?
So this is a notice of motion?
Yes.
So it'll come back.
Okay, okay, so
Okay, thank you for that notice of motion. Do we have any other notices of motion? Okay, I'm not seeing any, so we will take a 5-minute break here, and we will go into closed session after that. Okay, we are back in live session, and I'm just looking for a motion to go into closed session. Counselor Auld is,
I'll make that motion that we go into closed session.
okay, thank you for that motion. All those in favor? That is carried, and we will now move into closed session. Okay, we're back in live session, and we have a few motions coming out of closed session. Counselor Ald,
I'll just make the motion that we accept the CAO dialogue as information.
thank you for that motion. Discussion on that motion. All those in favor? That is carried. And Counselor Shipple.
Yes, as per closed session item 13.2, I would move to instruct administration to conduct a review of the Riverview outline plan to a maximum of $50,000 coming from the council. Let me just redo that. Let me make a motion to instruct administration to conduct a review of the Riverview outline plan to a maximum of $50,000 coming out of the council priority reserves.
Thank you for that motion. Discussion on that motion. Seeing none, call it to a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. And I will make the last motion. I'll make a motion that council hold a special council meeting on May 28th at 2 p.m. to review April 28th at 2 p.m. to review the financial audit. Okay, any discussion on that motion? Call it to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. And with nothing left on our agenda, I will adjourn the meeting at 11:14.